morning. This is another video on, I guess you can say Africa, and how the presidents are ruling or governing African countries. The African leaders, African chiefs, kings, leaders, what have you. In today's edition, we have the president of Ghana making the headline. So basically, the title of this article is Ghana to beg for $1.7 billion debt cancellation. And here we have a very iconic picture of Ghana's president, short dude, bald head, shaking hands gleefully with Xi Jinping of China. Okay. And I think this picture was taken when Ghana was actually receiving that loan, right? He looks happy. There's money coming in. These greedy African leaders, this is what they do, right? This is not a picture of them going to beg for debt cancellation or forgiveness. So let's read here a little bit. It says, as part of Ghana's debt restructuring program, you see how they word it. Debt restructuring. The government has disclosed that it will be pleading for a debt cancellation, which is basically begging, right? Grown men begging other grown men for debt cancellation. You went and took a loan from these guys, and now you want them to forgive you and you don't want to pay back, basically. It will be pleading for a debt cancellation with China, the country's largest bilateral creditor. Ghana is China's biggest. China is Ghana's single biggest bilateral creditor with $1.7 billion of debt, according to the Institute of International Finance. The move follows a successful debt exchange program, which saw 80% participation to restructure 137 billion Ghana cedis of the country's. Okay, all this is BS, right? So all these big words are saying that. So in furtherance of that, the CD News reports that the Minister for Finance will be leading a delegation to China at the end of this week to plead. Okay. And he goes to say the big elephant in the room is China. We will be visiting China by the end of the week to really discuss how they come into the envelope as quickly as possible. So we're looking at support from them. China represents about a third of the $5.7 billion loan. And so it's important that we engage them. I mean, look at these guys, okay? IMF rejected their plea, them coming to ask for big money. And so they went to China, and China gave them big money. And now they're telling China, hey, we can't pay you, forgive us the debt. Now, everybody knows that if you go ask your bank for a loan and they give you the loan, you can't go back and say, hey, please forgive me. I can't pay back the loan, so cancel the debt. That's not how it works. Even when you go to your family members, ask them for a loan, you cannot go back and say, hey, family member, forgive me the debt. I can't pay you. You're supposed to pay back somehow. So in this case, China will not say, hey, guys, we love you so much. Don't pay the debt back. You're good guys. God bless you. China's going to say, well, okay, you have some minerals that we want. You have some gold, diamond, bauxite, oil, manganese, timber, lithium, right? So we're just going to find enough of those minerals that is worth $1.7 billion, and then we're just going to come and mine this stuff for about 50 years, take it all back to China. And oh, by the way, we'll bring Chinese workers, right? So we're not going to hire any Ghanaian workers. We'll bring Chinese machines, workers, what have you, extract all your mineral resources, send it back to China and build whatever we're building, whether it's new electronics, mega housing structures, roads, highways, tunnels through mountains, whatever they're doing over there in China, all these projects they're working on, they'll come and take your resources. And I mean, $1.7 billion, if you look at the interest on that, at least that's going to run into maybe $10 million extra, right? So you're probably looking at way more than $1.7 billion worth of extraction, right? So let's say instead of 50 years, it might be a 100-year plan where they'll just extract stuff. And these African leaders always do this. They're greedy. They waste a lot of these monies because if you go look at the 1.7 billion, I'm sure this Ghanaian president, Nana Addo, has not spent, if you look at what they created, all the projects they've worked on, the roads, the schools, the what have yous. I mean, this guy's building a cathedral, a mega cathedral for church worship as opposed to building factories for the people to work in. People are still poor, they're destitute. The poverty is opening people up to foreigners who have, sex trafficking in mind, drug muling, sex market prostitution is getting rampant in Ghana. People are catching HIV. The masses are suffering, and these leaders, these African presidents, are going out making bad deals, and things like this is happening. So these guys are still selling Africa, to the world and profiting of it themselves, right? So this is no different from slavery, okay? Many in the West want to blame the West for slavery so they can get reparations and use it as a cudgel to beat the Western powers while living in the Western countries, Western governed countries. But the real culprits are these African leaders. They sell everything and waste every resource. They sold human beings. The slave trade was actually African chiefs having mercenaries go out and capture people from other tribes that they hated and sold them into slavery. So the African chiefs have been selling Africans. They've been selling gold, diamonds, lithium, timber, oil recently, and they still waste the monies they get from that. Right? So that's the big question. That's what people need to be asking. Dear African leaders, why are you selling everything and wasting the resources? These guys are just very wasteful. And I think the next revolution the revolution is not reparations from the white man. It should be reparations from the African chiefs, African leaders. I mean, right now in Ghana, illegal mining is destroying their waterways. Waterborne diseases are happening. Rivers are getting muddy and filled with toxic chemicals. Fish are dying. And this stuff is actually entering the Atlantic Ocean. It's polluting the rivers and entering the ocean. Okay, you look at some of the aerial photos and the ocean, you can see the muddy rivers just entering the ocean and turning it brown. You have blue ocean is now turning muddy. Okay, they're destroying the environment all for some greed. The chiefs, the local chiefs accept bribes from illegal miners. And I'll do another video where you see just miners just mining and destroying the environment. So I think it's high time the African people really begin asking hard questions of their leaders and actually taking the fight to the leaders rather than just blaming the white man for everything. It's time to blame the black leaders or the African leaders, chiefs, kings, rulers, what have you, for destroying Africa and virtually enslaving the African people in misery and poverty, no jobs and diseases, famine, hardship. A country like Ghana drills oil. They found oil recently within the last 10 years. And gas prices are extremely high. They don't process anything over there in that country. These presidents come in, they don't build industries that will hire people. They don't build factories. They just want to have service economies. They want to buy everything from abroad. This Ghanaian president was flying chartered flights instead of using his own Ghanaian airplane and making big speeches all over the world, trying to impress somebody. Obviously, a short man like this has Napoleon complex and wants to be known in the world. It's an ego trip. He doesn't care about the people. And now we're seeing the results of it. I hope the people get rid of this guy and replace him with someone that cares about the people, actually makes laws and policies that'll benefit the common man on the ground. All right, guys. So this is my video. There'll be another one, a follow-up. I'll do another article because there are hundreds of these articles out here, different angles and avenues. But these guys are destroying Africa. They're enslaving and oppressing the African people, and it's time to wake up. Peace.